Kansas legislature is currently on first adjournment. In other words, we've ended the first half of the session and went on first adjournment. And of course, the legislature will be on about a 3-week break, and then we'll come back for the wrap-up session, which will commence on about May 1st. I think there's about 2 weeks scheduled for that. In the past, we usually only had about 4 or 5 days, but quite a bit is left on the table. If you recall, we came into the session needing to do several things. We needed to put together a tax plan so that we could fund things that have not been funded and monies that have been borrowed and so forth, and we need to pay those back and also get things on track with our school finance formula. We're responding to the Gannon versus State of Kansas lawsuit, and subsequently we have had a committee in place that's been working on a school finance formula. I've said all along that what we really needed to do was just take the 1992 tax plan, which has all the weightings and so forth and base state aid per pupil demands, that I think would have satisfied the court. The problem is it had not been funded at the levels it needed to be funded. So when people said that it was broken and so forth, that couldn't be any further from the truth. It was a good formula. And fortunately, our school finance committee came out with a bill the other day, which is House Bill 2410, if you want to look that up. And of course, that takes care of a lot of the things I think that the court was concerned about. Now that will be taken up when we get back for the second part of the session, the wrap-up session. And I believe that there will be some attorneys look at that to make sure it meets the constitutional demands set forth by the Supreme Court. One of the main things it does, though, is it addresses the base state aid per pupil and got us away from the block grant that the governor had put in place. So it really kind of starts out by increasing base state aid per pupil to $4,006 per pupil. That's for the 2017-2018 school session, and that'll move forward with increases each year until we get to the 2021-22 school year, where it jumps up to $4,806. So that's a good note in that regard. And it also does a number of other things like funds all-day kindergarten and also counts that towards full-time enrollment. In the past, we only funded for a half day, and that will also, the kindergarten will also go in the count for the per pupil funding for that particular school district. One of the things, though, that I also pointed out that we also needed to come up with a budget, not only for the current fiscal year called a rescission bill, which we passed out, and that's on its way to the governor, but we'll also be working on the 2018 and 2019 budgets to try to shore things up there, and we'll take that up when we get back for the wrap-up session. We also needed to do the Medicaid expansion bill that has been passed by both houses by large numbers. Unfortunately, the governor vetoed that expansion bill. He also vetoed the tax plan that we had put together, if you recall. So really, the legislature has been really working diligently, in my opinion, and very cooperatively to try to get things fixed here in our state as far as our budget woes are concerned. Standing in our way, of course, as I mentioned, with these two vetoes has been the governor. And I think there's still an air of people in the legislature wanting to get things fixed, and they're very serious about it. And hopefully when we get back for the wrap-up session, we'll see that cooperative effort once again. But in the meantime, some good news as far as getting a rescission bill. That gets things taken care of for the rest of 2017, budget, which ends on June 30th. And then also that school finance formula that's been brought forth. And as I mentioned, it's similar to the 1992 formula with a few tweaks involved in that, and I think that gets us off on a good start for the start of the veto or the wrap-up session. Thanks for listening.